Hi, and welcome to Frags and Beer Radio Live. I'm your host, Trevor, also known by my gaming tag as Xamot. You can find me on social media, Twitter, or everything else under TJ Bierschbach or Trevor Bierschbach or Frags and Beer. Fragsandbeer.com, TrevorBierschbach.com. Lots of places out there. If you're watching YouTube, you can see most of that information in the video description. If you're watching the live shows, do be sure to say something, comment. We like to talk back and forth. If you have questions or comments or things that you would like to add to the discussion, I'm all for it. This is a live show. That's the point. So we're going to flip up the format because I actually want to talk about something pretty big at the end of the show rather than my comic pull list, which I normally wrap the show up with. But I think there's something a little more important that came out today than my comic pull list. So we're going to start with my comics this week. I didn't get many, only got 2 on my comic list. I did read it because Joelle Jones wrote it. She's still not back doing the art, but Catwoman came out this week. So far, pretty basic story. Joelle Jones' writing is really good. The story she's going for, I'm not quite sure where it's going yet. I'm just really disappointed that we're not seeing her art. Joelle Jones is a decent writer, but her art is fantastic. And that's the whole reason I picked up Catwoman. I'm going to double check and make sure the sound is coming through. Yeah, it's good. Joelle Jones is the entire reason I started picking up Catwoman. And if her art doesn't come back to the book soon, I'll probably drop it. Like I said, her writing is good. Her art is so much better than a lot of people's art, and that's the entire reason that I picked up the comic to start with. There's my dog probably barking at the mail person. You guys hear him like every week now because I don't know what his deal is. He used to be really nice and calm during streams, and now he gets all crazy and starts barking. So the other book that I got this week was Hit Girl. Kevin Smith is the writer on this. Yes, the Kevin Smith, and Pernille Oram, I think it's Pernille, is the artist. It's a unique art style. I'll have to say it's better than some of the art that I've seen in Hit Girl. But it's got more of it's got more of a lighthearted sort of cartoony feel to it, which is unexpected in such a violent and bloody comic, and this really is. Hit Girl, this run of Hit Girl has been extremely graphic, which is good. I mean, that's what the book's known for. It's so far a really good read. I'd highly recommend Hit Girl. Kevin Smith's run on it's been really good. The previous runs on it were great. I've been picking up Hit Girl since it came back, and I've been enjoying it. But seeing Kevin Smith writing the panels, writing the dialogue and the story has been really good. He's going to a good place. I'm just disappointed. This is issue 3 of 4 for this particular story arc, so I'm hoping he's not done at 4. I'm hoping he does the next story arc. Who knows? But so far so good. It's been a really good show. So let me find my notes here because we're gonna talk about. There they are. So. We had another announcement about Avengers characters going from the MCU to Disney Plus, and it's now I'm starting to get a little worried. Originally, they talked about Scarlet Witch and Loki, and we weren't sure if they were getting their own show, and we weren't sure if, maybe it's 2 separate shows. We still don't know what's happening to the other Marvel TV shows that were taken off of Netflix: Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Daredevil. Did I say Daredevil already? Luke Cage and Punisher. What are happening to those characters? Because especially Punisher and Daredevil, and to a lesser extent the other 3 and the Defender show itself. What's going to happen to them? Are they being taken to Disney Plus as well, or are they just gone? Like, it'd be unfortunate if they were gone. Not that I'm going to be getting Disney Plus. I pay for Netflix. I enjoy it. I also pay for cable and I pay for internet. I'm not paying for another service just for a handful of shows. So sorry, Disney. Hopefully I can catch them on disc because I won't be paying the monthly subscription for the Disney Plus. But what does worry me is I still enjoy the movies, and so far, so we have Vision and Scarlet Witch getting their own show. We have Loki, who Tom Hiddleston is going to be playing Loki in a Disney Plus TV show, so to speak. Hawkeye is retiring and passing on to the female version of Hawkeye, which has been from the comics, so it's not a huge deal, except that there's another. I mean, Scarlet Witch, Vision, Loki, Hawkeye. Then we just recently heard that Falcon and Winter Soldier are both getting their own Disney Plus shows as well. So all of those characters who currently make up sort of the support team of the Avengers are not going to be in any more. Are they not going to be in any more feature films? Are they only going to be on Disney Plus, or are they going to be on Disney Plus? And like, that really makes me worry. But what's Phase 4 going to look like when you pull out all of these characters, these core characters to the Avengers franchise over the last so many years? What is going to happen? What's it going to look like? It really kind of has me worried what Phase 4 is going to be like, unless they put them in the TV shows and in the movies. Maybe that seems kind of weird too. So I don't know. Phase 4 is still. I'm really nervous about it. After Endgame, I'm wondering what's the MCU going to look like. What kind of characters are we going to have? Are they going to bring in an entirely new set? I mean, I know we've got Guardians of the Galaxy 3 coming, but is that it for them? We got more Captain Marvel, I'm sure. I know we have at least one more Black Panther coming. But who's going to make up the core, like, Avengers team? Is there going to be any more Avengers movies after this, or is it just going to be a bunch of split movies? Is it just going to be Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Guardians, Fantastic Four? Probably. They said they're not going to use X-Men for a long time, which is very disappointing. And we got Deadpool. What else? What are we going to have? What kind of team movie are they going to be planning, if any? Maybe they're not. Maybe there won't be an Avengers team or anything like that. Who knows? It's really kind of up in the air, I guess, what we're going to get. So kind of nervous with what we're looking at with the MCU going forward, with so many of our core characters being pulled out of the movie side and put into the TV side. So we still have to wait. I'm sure after Far From Home, the next Spider-Man, I'm sure then we might start seeing some MCU Phase 4 news. I hope they don't wait until Comic-Con. I hope they start releasing a little bit here and there. And Doctor Strange. We have another Doctor Strange coming. But it still leaves us wondering what's going to happen with the rest of the team. What is it going to look like? So we'll see. But that's the latest news. The Falcon and Winter Soldier are being pulled to Disney Plus. I mean, they're putting a big lineup, a lot of characters, a lot of shows. Who knows? I mean, and then with Star Wars, they're pulling in Mandalorian. The Mandalorian, or whatever it's going to be called. Hopefully it comes out on disc. It's the only way I'm going to see it. So then to the big news that happened today, and I'm probably going to be a short show. Actually, we've only been going for 10 minutes, but I could probably talk about the next thing for quite a while, because I am a huge Star Wars nerd. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to, I'm not going to say anything to make you like me if you don't like Star Wars, or if you're mad at Disney, or if you're mad at, I don't care. Whatever you like, whatever I like. So to lead this off with, I didn't hate The Last Jedi. So if that turns you away, I'm sorry. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It wasn't a great movie. It was an okay movie. There were some parts that I did really seriously dislike. That whole middle section where they left the ships. They took all the suspension out of the movie. I wrote a review on it, a review of it on Frags and Beer. When they left the fleet, Finn and Rose, that whole sequence was a waste. It was a waste of characters, because what they didn't matter. At the end, whatever they went off to do had no point. It was useless to the plot. It was filler. But it also broke the tension of the space chase. Essentially, is what that whole movie was. That whole movie was a modified version of what we got in 5 seasons of Battlestar Galactica, and it broke that tension when they left to go have fun on a casino planet and race strange alien horses and shit. That right there is what I had a huge problem with in the movie. There were other things that I didn't like so much, but that part right there is, to me, is the part that made that movie not great. It could have been a decent movie. It could have been a good movie if that stuff had never even happened. If they had never left the fleet, never gone to that casino planet, never met a wasted Guillermo del Toro character. Not del Toro. You know what I mean. You know, he was completely wasted in that movie as well. All of that was pointless. So it should have just been cut out. Shouldn't have even been there. But anyway, so I just wanted you guys to know before we go into the next part that you know where I stand. I'm actually excited for episode 9. We got a trailer for episode 9 today. Hopefully you saw it. If you didn't see it, go watch it. I'm not gonna. I thought about showing and giving you some, but everybody's doing reaction videos and all this stuff to the trailer. But a couple of things that I wanted to point out that was very interesting from the trailer that was very telling is, first of all, the title. The Rise of Skywalker it brings up a lot of questions, a lot of assumptions that people are making too based on that title, and it could mean a lot of different things. First of all, Star Wars has always been really good at having titles, at least for the most part. The titles have had more than one meaning often, or sometimes they've had a not so obvious meaning. Like you look at some of them, the way that they're phrased or the way that the title works with the story, like, oh, that's pretty clear and obvious. But then when you think back of it, there's a little bit deeper meaning to the titles of some of these movies. And I think The Rise of Skywalker is a similar idea. It could very well mean that Rey is a Skywalker. It could mean that this is her coming into power as a Jedi Master. It may not mean that. It could mean that Luke is coming back somehow. That is not outside the possibility. Let's take it back a step and remember that Star Wars is fantasy. Star Wars is not science fiction. It's easy to forget that because it's set in space and there's spaceships and laser guns and robots and all those other things that make up what we think of as science fiction. But really at its core, Star Wars is fantasy. Star Wars, you know, the major difference between Star Wars and fantasy is when you want to explain why something works in science fiction, there's always some technobabble, gobbledygook explanation that tries to, you know, some pseudoscience explanation for why this thing does what it does. And in Star Wars, you don't have that. In fantasy, when you need to explain something, why does that work? How do dragons fly, for example? There's no biological science behind why something as large as a dragon can fly unless you say magic. So if your explanation of why something works simply goes, well, it works, or magic, that's fantasy. When you have to come up with a long-winded pseudo-science technobabble explanation for something, that's science fiction. Star Trek is science fiction. Star Wars is fantasy. So the possibility that Luke could come back from whatever happened without even retconning, they don't even have to say that scene at the end of The Last Jedi didn't happen. They don't even have to say that. They could say it happened, and then Luke woke up somewhere else, still alive. Well, how? The Force. Magic. We don't know the extent of what the Force can do, and that's been one of the great and bad things about the Star Wars saga. They've never really set rules, and Star Wars often breaks its own rules, and that's sometimes a bad thing to do when you're writing stories, especially when you're writing fantasy stories. You set a certain you set rules, you set guidelines for your world or your creation, and you say, this is how things work. Even when your explanation is magic, magic has its limitations often. But we found with Star Wars, even going back to the original series, the Force just kind of did whatever the writer needed it to do at the time. It's the same kind of thing that works in comic books with, you know, superheroes. When you need a character that can do a certain thing, he just exists. So, well, how did he come to be? Well, I don't know, make some shit up. It just kind of works, you know. So Star Wars has been kind of the same thing. There's no set rules for how the Force works. We can't possibly, I don't think we've seen all the things that it can do, all the things that people have thought of that it can do. So who knows? Who knows? The Rise of Skywalker could literally mean Luke Skywalker. Could mean he's coming back. It could mean he's coming back as a Force ghost. It could mean he's coming back as something else. It could mean somebody completely unrelated to Rey or Luke, who is also, well, I guess you can't be unrelated and also be a Skywalker, but it could be somebody, some other Skywalker we don't know about coming into the picture. There could be a lot of meanings to that title, and making assumptions on what it means, you know, you set yourself up with these expectations. And I think we Star Wars geeks are bad about that. We set ourselves up for expectations and we say, oh, well, this is what that means, and that's what that scene means. And I've seen, you know, a 30-second trailer, and clearly I know the whole movie, because I've actually seen people say, well, the movie doesn't make any sense and it sucks. Referring to episode 9, the movie doesn't make any sense and it sucks. I saw that posted today. You haven't seen it. You've seen a 30-second trailer, and we know they're really good about cutting trailers so that none of it actually makes sense. None of it, like, you'll watch that trailer. For example, everybody's debating over what the TIE fighter thing is. Why is a TIE fighter chasing Rey at ground level while she's got a lightsaber? Why does she have the lightsaber out? She jumps over it, but we don't see her cut through the wing. What's going on there? Who knows? We don't know. They cut that scene intentionally that way. The TIE fighter doesn't shoot at her. We don't see the pilot's face. Maybe it's Poe in that pilot seat. Maybe he's picking her up. Why is her lightsaber out? I don't know. Maybe there's something coming down that is going to attack them, and he's all out of ammo, whatever TIE fighters use for ammo, and the only weapon they have is her lightsaber. So they plan some trick for her to jump on top of that and then force leap into the sky and take out the last TIE fighter that he doesn't have the ammo to take out. Who knows? It could be anything. We don't know. That's the problem with making the assumptions based on a 30-second trailer. But what we do know is, obviously, Rey, Finn, Poe, C-3PO, Chewbacca are back. We know that Lando Calrissian is back in the pilot seat, at least for a little bit, of the Millennium Falcon. We saw that, and that's awesome. He looks great. It even looks like he's mostly back in a similar costume, so that's fantastic. We know that it looks like we're seeing, in one scene, we are seeing the remains of the second Death Star. Crashed on either the forest moon or Endor itself. Don't know where, but that's what it looks like. So, and you hear Palpatine laughing. Now, it is, if you've read any of the extended universe stuff, you know that Palpatine survived in a fashion. He survived the destruction of the second Death Star. I don't know if they're going to actually be going the route of clones, if they're going to be going the route that Timothy Zahn's books did. I doubt it. Maybe he's just a Force ghost. I mean, we haven't really seen. Have we seen? I'm trying to remember if we've seen if Sith. I know that Vader became a Force ghost, but that's because he was redeemed when he showed up as Anakin. I don't know if we've ever seen any Sith ghosts, even in the animated stuff, but I haven't seen all the animated stuff yet. Maybe it's that. Maybe he somehow did survive, and this is his final base of operations where he's been secretly holed away, you know, kept on some sort of morbid life support, but he still has his use of the Force, and he's been controlling things since the last, you know, since Jedi. Who knows? We don't know. All we know is he laughed, and they're looking at the destruction of the second Death Star. But everybody's making a lot of assumptions, but that's what we do. That's what we Star Wars nerds do. We also know that, I mean, some of that trailer, it sounds like it's, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's Mark Hamill's voice. And what is the line he says? That something about you can't assume what's gone isn't always gone. I can't remember the exact line. Watch the trailer, but he makes the implication that when you think somebody or something is actually gone, it may not be. Which could mean him, could mean Palpatine, could mean any number of people who we assume are dead. Maybe they're not. So there's a lot of questions in the trailer. There's a lot to be skeptical of, obviously. J.J. Abrams generally delivers good movies. I'm not a big fan of his TV shows, which is weird. He seems to make decent movies. His TV shows, as far as I've been, as the ones I've watched anyway, have been garbage. Which it just boggles the mind that he can do one really well and the other one not so well at all. So I don't think we're going to get a terrible movie. I don't think we're going to get just a garbage fire. But I'm worried that they may try changing so much stuff that it's confusing to watch after watching the last one. And I know a lot of people say, well, we could just erase the last one. Well, yeah, I would love to be able to erase most of the Phantom Menace too, but we can't. It's there. And it does have some redeeming scenes in it. The lightsaber duel, the pod race, both very iconic scenes from the Star Wars universe now, and really great filmmaking. Both of the Duel of the Fates and the pod race scene, both wonderful filmmaking. So you really can't count it all out. Really, what troubles me is Rian Johnson was handed they lobbed a softball at him. J.J. Abrams set up with the right amount of nostalgia, with the right amount of connection to the original trilogy, with the right amount of callbacks to familiar things, familiar themes, familiar story elements from the original Star Wars trilogy. He pulled all that into The Force Awakens. And he basically lobbed this softball up into the air, and Rian Johnson swung and he missed, and he swung and he missed, and he swung and he missed. And that's hard. You almost have to do that on purpose. As much as he was given to work with, he was given such a solid foundation of, we had good questions. When we got done with The Force Awakens, we wanted to know more. We wanted to know more about Rey, what was going on with Finn, where's he from, what's going on with Poe, how did they get where they're at, what has changed in the intervening years between Jedi and The Force Awakens. We had all these questions, and J.J. Abrams, I think, intentionally left a lot of those questions unanswered because you have 2 more movies to work with, and he wanted to hook you. He wanted to get you wanting to know more so that you would go back for the next one. And Rian Johnson just went, I don't know, and he made shit up, and some of it just didn't make sense. Some of it made sense, but it wasn't good, or it looked intentionally twisted. I don't know. Rian Johnson just dropped the ball so many times. And so I'm worried that he's made such a mess of things as far as continuity and storytelling and twists on things that really aren't Star Wars elements. And it's going to make Abrams' job really difficult. It's going to make it really difficult to get fans back. That's probably the biggest hurdle I think Abrams has. Legitimately upset fans who have legitimate criticism after The Force Awakens or after The Last Jedi. It's going to be hard to get their butts back in the seat, and he's got to do that. He's got to win people back, because it's the only way that we're going to get more. And I want more. I want good ones. I want to see what they can do with more characters out of this universe. The Star Wars universe has got so much to work with, so rich history and themes and technology and story elements, really classic story elements that they could pull from. And I want to see more of that. I don't want to see them just shelve it because, one terrible movie kept people from going to the theaters for the next 2. Because that's what happened. That's what happened with Solo. Solo's legitimately a good movie. It was a good heist film. It had wonderful Star Wars elements. It had good acting. It had good action. It had, a good, solid foundation. It was a good movie. But it bombed because people were so dissatisfied with The Last Jedi that they just didn't bother. And that's where I'm worried here. So I'm hoping with some good trailers, with some good releases, with some good information, we can win some fans back, we can get some butts in the seat, and at least give this one a chance. If this one bombs too, I mean, that's could happen. It might happen. If it happens, so be it. That might be the end, the literal end of the Star Wars saga. But if it's good, I want it to have a chance because I want to see more. And that's, I guess, the final bit of news after the trailer is that the Star Wars movies are going to be sort of taking a break. Now, they didn't say it's going to be like a break. They just said they're not going to be making another movie immediately like they have with the last few. They're not making any more individual movies after Solo. So we won't be seeing a Boba Fett movie. We won't be seeing what was the other one? An Obi-Wan movie, which is really unfortunate because Ewan McGregor would be fantastic in an Obi-Wan movie. And who knows, it might be another 4 or 5 years before we see the next Star Wars movie, which is fine. I want to see them really take their time to develop what's the next, because Star Wars really needs to be delivered in a specific format. Like the individual movies, Rogue One worked, Solo worked, because those movies were outside, sort of outside the Star Wars theme. They were outside the norm for Star Wars. The next Star Wars trilogy, leading into a saga of some sort, needs to follow the same theme that the originals did, or you're really going to lose people. It can't be a standard action movie trilogy or 5 or 6 movie. It can't be that. It has to be a Star Wars saga. So I want them to take their time. I want them to make it work. I want them to develop it out long term. Don't give us one movie hoping we'll like it to get another one. I mean, even though Lucas did that with the original, with Star Wars, with 4, he wanted to make more movies. So he had plans, but he didn't know if 4 was going to do any good. So he gave us a movie that could stand all by itself, that could be a beginning, middle, and end. But he had plans for more, and that's what I want them to do. I want them to take their time, make sure it's right, make sure it's good, make sure they have a solid, long-running story that they can tell over the course of either 6 or 9 films or whatever. Make sure they give us something good. So I'm not too troubled by this, by a hiatus or whatever you want to call it, a break, whatever. As long as they deliver something good coming out of it. So anyway, I think that's about our show. Go watch the trailer if you haven't already. It's out on YouTube. It's not very long. I know people are going to be discussing it till the end of time. It's just like Twitter is stupid right now with the comments and the speculation and some people are mad and some people are like, I don't care. If you don't care, why do you even every time I see somebody's post, I don't care, I go, well, you took the time, right? If you didn't care, you wouldn't say anything. But anyway, go check it out. See what you think. More news comes out. I'll talk about it more. We'll see what comes of it. I'll be seeing it in December, and we'll discuss it then as well. So anyway, coming up this Saturday, tomorrow, we have Saturday Randomness. Will be at its normal scheduled time with Pathfinder Kingmaker, and then tomorrow afternoon I will be on the Murder Hobos channel. We will be playing Pathfinder tabletop. And then Monday will be Monday Night Classics. Now, next week, the end of the week, our normal Friday show will not be happening. I will actually be at Heroes and Villains that day, so I will have plenty of posts and pictures and things like that, and I will also be there Saturday, so no Saturday randomness. And then that following week, I'm on vacation for a week, but I may be back for a Friday show that following week. I'll keep you guys informed. Anyway, everything else is hunky-dory here, I guess. Anyway, you guys have a great rest of your Friday. Enjoy your Friday evening and your weekend, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow for Saturday Randomness. Thank you so much. You guys have a great night, and much love. See you next time.